Determination. So first order of business is the roll call and determination of a quorum. Here.
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 Thank you. Up next is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any additions or subtractions from the agenda? Chief, did you have something you wanted to add still, or? No. Melterman? Okay, never mind. All right, so moving on, we'll move, anybody, no lights? Okay, move on to general public comments. Now is the time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not currently on the agenda. Action will not be taken on any issue not on the agenda, except for placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I currently have no speaker request forms to add anything to the agenda for public comment. Okay, I'm going to move on to consent items numbers 1 through 7. I will open public comment on items 1 through 7. I have no speaker request forms for any of those items. Does anybody wish to speak on those items? Okay, I'm going to close public comment on items 1 through 7 and go to the council members, see if they want to remove any of the items 1 through 7. Chair recognizes Mr. Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair. Item 2, please.
Item number 2, okay. Anything else? Entertain a motion to approve the balance.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Laurenti, second by Nordstrom. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items number 2 is authorize staff to apply for a 2015 COPS grant. Mr. Laurenti, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And if I can, I'd like to ask Captain Hedrick. Is that pronounced, or is it Hedrick?
It's pretty close. Hedrick.
Hedrick.
Yep.
Thank you, Captain.
Comments?
My question, sir, is kind of discussed a little bit before the meeting, and I guess I want to get some greater clarification. It's my understanding this COPS grant is to bring on 6 new people, but I'm a little gray on I'm not quite clear on the new people, because as we discussed, you had 4 that are on COPS grants now that will be coming off of that grant next month. My question to you is, are 4 of those people part of this 6 that you're talking about?
No. This would be an additional 6 officers to be focused on specific things that are directed towards the grant. And like you mentioned, we do currently have 8 officers that are funded through the COPS program. 4 of those will be, the funding for the COPS grant for the 4 of them will be ceasing in July of this year. The other 4 will be ending August of next year. So the 8 that we currently have on funded through COPS grants will be expiring over the next 2 summers. This would be an additional. This would be 6 outside of that 8 that are currently being funded through the COPS grant.
Okay. One additional question with that answer, and maybe I don't know if you'll be able to answer it or not, but the 4 that are coming off of the COPS grant next month, are they part of some addition to keep those officers in this next budget?
The 4 that are coming off will be remaining as officers under the budget. That's been factored in. And I should add that just because we're stepping away from the funding, they're still going to be doing the services that they will be doing. For example, we're currently funded for sector policing for those 4 officers. Well, we're going to continue to do that even though the government funding isn't there for the positions.
So the answer then is, for the 4 that are coming off next month, they'll be 100% general fund expense, if you will, for this next year.
Yep, they fall right into our budget.
Okay. And that will be the same case for the 4 that will come off of the COPS grant next year as well?
Yes, correct.
Okay. 25, so we're going to have the 4 that are coming off next month, and then we're going to have 25% of the budget for the 6 that you're proposing here. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That.
Chair recognizes Alderman Ron Weifenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question would be for Captain.
Please.
Are we adding 6 FTE, or are those 4 that are coming off being moved into the general fund budget? I mean, are we adding 6 police officer FTEs, or overall is the FTE count the same?
Eventually, it would boost our numbers because the grant is for 3 years. We have to have the officers working and doing the job that we said they would be doing under the grant requirements for 3 years. And then we're required to keep them on for another year after that. So that would be after the 4th year, they would fall into our budget for employees. So we'd be essentially, yes, adding numbers to our ranks.
I just read the journal this morning and talking about 10, that the police department's using 10 FTE every Thursday night. Is that correct for the summer nights?
I would say it varies, but 10's probably a number that would be a good average, probably. We have a certain amount assigned to the downtown area for that event, and then, of course, if something major popped up, we have a bunch of other officers that are working that night that would be able to respond if there was an event.
Thanks.
Yep.
Alderman Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to, not a caution, but something for us to think about before this next Monday night, knowing some of the detail at this point. But Captain, if you could pass along, or if you're going to be here Monday night, I think there's going to be some additional questions, because we're talking about bringing 4 on to general fund, and another 25% for the 6 proposed. So I believe there'll be some questions concerning that coming into the 2016 budget. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have no further speaker request forms. I do not have a motion, I don't believe. Motion approved by Nordstrom, second by Drew. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item number 8. We're going to open public comment, excuse me, on 8 through 13. I have one speaker request form standing by for questions. So, Mr. Ossenfort, you just want to stand by for questions?
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions, they can go to you. Okay, and no other speaker request forms for items 8 through 13. Does anybody wish to speak on those items? None appearing. I'm going to close public comment on items 8 through 13 and move on to item number 8. Request from Dan Steffner for 10-hour meters on Kansas City Street between 6th and 7th Street. Anybody? Motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Darla Drew, second by Steve Laurenti for approval. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, acknowledge receipt of proposed downtown bid assessment roll and approve a resolution 2015-056A, fixing time and place for hearing of assessment roll for a business improvement district 2015. Motion approved by Nordstrom, second by Drew. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is introduction, first reading of ordinance 6061 to revise provisions for management and administration of the Rapid City Municipal Airport, amending chapter 2.72 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion approved by Nordstrom, second by Drew. And the chair recognizes Ron Reifenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can someone give us a brief summary of this and where this came from?
Mr. Ossenfort, you wish to speak, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here representing the airport board. It's just a cleanup ordinance. We worked with the city attorney's office to firm up some language that had been needed to be done for a long time. So this is a lot less controversial than the last time I was here addressing this committee. So I would very much appreciate the support to pass it to the council. Both 10 and 11 are cleanup items, and the city attorney or Wade's right here. He could address that better. How'd I do?
That's fine. I got an understanding now. So,
Okay. Any further discussion? Mr. Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair. And if I can, I'd like to ask City Attorney a question on this, please.
By all means.
Mr. Lundin, I just want to make sure that there isn't some relationship to some of the controversy we had previously with the balance of powers, if you will, with the mayor's office, the council, and personnel out there in the board, because there is some language here on the filing of vacancies and provides for removal of board members for cause. I just want to make sure that we don't have any issues there. You feel comfortable with that?
I'm going to defer to Wade Nyberg from my office. He's actually been staffing the airport board and worked with them on this ordinance.
Mr. All right, thank you.
I would say that, yeah, there's nothing really new to this. It's a little change in some of the wording, but as far as the part about membership, that the tagline of that ordinance has always said removal, but there's never been the text of the ordinance didn't address removal. So I took that out of that one and I pasted in basically the same. It's for the Planning Commission and a couple other boards and commissions. I used the same paragraph to put the removal section in. I addressed the vacancy question, just to kind of clarify that. We've had a couple questions once in a while when somebody resigns early or whatever, has to leave, and we fill a vacancy, and then how the term limits apply. So basically, if it's less than 2 years, the way it's written in the ordinance, if it's less than 2 years, it doesn't count as a term. If it's 2 years or more, then it counts as a term for the term limits. So you only get 2 consecutive terms.
Any further questions? Okay. Motion is to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is introduction and first reading of ordinance 6062 to revise provisions regulating activities and operations at the municipal airport by amending chapter 13.28 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion approved by Nordstrom, second by Laurenti. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12 is second reading and recommendation of ordinance 6060 to revise the regulations relating to the private water and sewer service lines by amending chapter 13.12 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion by Laurenti, second by Weifenbach to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13 is resolution 2015-061, establishing criteria and prioritizing replacement of private non-conforming sewer and water service lines per chapter 13.12 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion by Laurenti, second by Darla Drew. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion adjourned by Nordstrom, second by everybody. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.